You guys, this is the episode I have been waiting for with more anticipation, I think, than anyone we've ever done. I was up late last night doing my research on our guest. I've known our guest and his family, well, honestly, since high school, a couple of them. But anyway, we are so excited today to have Max Maxwell with us. Max is the drummer for our favorite band here locally, the Crashers, but also has started a really, really unique, fun take on cake. He does Cake Take by Max. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we are going to get all into wedding cake.
Thank you so much. Well, my name is Max Maxwell, and I'm from a family of musicians and have been playing music for longer than I want to say, maybe 47 years. And I absolutely love wedding cake. Like,
now you can't just jump right there.
Yeah,
I mean, tell us a little bit about yourself first. We know you love cake.
Well, I'm an Aries.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids. Mm-hmm. I have.
What about pets?
I have 4 dogs. I have 2 Great Pyrenees, which you know what those are? Great big white dogs. And I have 2 little doodles. And
that's why I like you.
Yeah, I have 2
You're
doodles.
a doodle person
I have
like
2
me.
doodles and 2 Great Pyrenees, and I want to just kill them all the time. And if you watch Cake Take, like last week, I yelled at one of them because she wouldn't stop barking. And
while you were trying to video?
Oh, every time I do it, they bark. They're barking. They're barking dogs. And so we luckily live on a couple acres, so we have some room for them to run around. And but it's chaos, always. But yeah, I love lots of things. Life is an amazing thing. I have a daytime job business that I own. That is we engineer and design sound systems and video systems. That's what I do during the day, and then manage all of the Crasher wedding stuff. So I'm connected with all the brides and the planners and I love that. It's like the greatest, most fun to be involved in somebody's life like that. And so I have an amazing wife who supports me and doesn't think I'm too crazy. Other than this cake thing, which she does think I'm crazy, but she's very supportive of that, and I'm just real blessed. My brother's I have a great brother. I have a great sister. My mom and dad are awesome. My dad's like a living legend in Louisville, Kentucky, and yeah. So I'm a real blessed guy, very very blessed guy, and I again love wedding cake.
Well, we finally got it out of him a little bit. Did you hear that, Sharon? He's part of a kick-ass band, the Crashers.
Sure. My favorite.
Just go ahead and spill the beans to everybody. We all know about the Crashers, but for those that are listening who may not be local to us, although you do go just about anywhere.
We do. Yeah, we go all over the place. Yeah, we've played weddings or private events all over the place, all over the United States. I haven't gone out of the country yet.
But you're leaving the door open.
Yes, that's right. Completely leaving the door open. So we love, again, we play a lot of private events. We play probably more than half of our work is in weddings. And realistically, when we put the band together, that's what we put the band together for. It was to play weddings. The first event we played was a wedding. And so we love to be part of someone else's life. We feel like that's a blessing for us to be part of something they were going to remember for the rest of their lives. And luckily, we've only had one couple break up since we've been together.
I wish I could say that.
Just one couple. And so I think it has a lot to do with typically with our band, we're so involved with the party, with the folks, and we want them to be the happiest they've ever been in their life, and their guests to be. I've went to the best wedding I've ever been to. That's the goal with our band.
Sharon, I know you have some questions in regards to the band. How long has the Crashers been around?
12 years, 12 would be 13 years this next year.
That's awesome.
Same guy, all same people. And
That says a lot.
That's
it really
amazing.
does, yeah.
That speaks highly of all of you, because a lot of bands, people come and go. It's
Yeah.
very transient. So.
Yeah, we're friends.
Yeah.
We love each other and hate each other at the same time, and we have a great relationship.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I know that we're going to do another episode, hopefully soon, where we're going to specifically talk about bands and what to look for when you hire a band. But just before we get into the cake, if there's a bride and a groom out there that are looking for, are considering using a band versus DJ, what guidance would you give them in making that decision?
Well, the first thing I would do is look at their set list. That's the most important part of it, is to see how wide the range is. Because for your wedding, typically you have kids there, and then you have your great-grandparents there.
Sure.
At the same event. And so a band has to be real diverse to be the perfect band for your wedding. That's the first piece of it. The second piece to me is how are they interactive with you directly? Are they connected? We talked about this a little bit before, that will they sit down with you and will they spend time with you? Will they help? Will they say, hey, you need to go through our song list and tell me the songs that you don't want us to play, because we don't want to play the song that you and your ex-boyfriend loved. We don't want to play that song for your wedding.
I always tell my couples that do not playlist is the most important part of the music selection.
It is. I don't
Yes.
even tell them to put a set list together, because typically when we walk in the room, we put something rough together. But when we walk in the room, we look at the crowd and go, okay, it's a little older this time, or it looks like they might want a little more 80s rock music, and then we shift
That's
as
so
we go.
important.
Yeah, Mark and I are connected all whole time. We have a way of talking on stage. So, but to know that the band's diverse, to know that the band will connect with everyone there, no matter who it is really important. That connectivity to the crowd. That's the one thing Mark is really good at, is walking around
Right.
and getting people involved and bringing the bride and groom on stage, and it's about them. It's not about us, and that's the thing you need to watch out about with a lot of bands, because bands they're psychos. They're about themselves most of the time. You know what I mean? That's why
I've
they're
had that
doing
experience where I felt like the band wanted the focus to be on the band instead of the bride and groom.
Yep.
And yeah, that's kind of hard as a wedding planner.
The other thing, I'm going to say something that's probably going to make all the band people mad, but the other thing that we do that most everyone else stays away from is see, there's my dog. It followed me over here. So the thing that happens a lot of the time is somebody will ask a band how long they'll play. And the band will say, well, we play 3 1-hour sets, and we take a half-hour break. That is the worst thing that a band can do at a wedding. The very worst. It's like...
I am so glad that he brought that. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying.
It's the worst thing. So for us, we created our muscle behind the band to be able to play 2.5 to 3 hours for anyone's wedding. And typically, you know how that goes with most weddings. Everything's running behind anyway. You can't go, well, at 9:59 we're going to do this, and at 10:59 we're going to do this, because it never happens that way. You just kind of and that's the one thing I tell brides. They go, well, what should I do? What should I do when how can I enjoy myself? I said, well, just don't worry about the time frame.
Right.
Just don't worry about it.
Good
Just-
advice. That's
Just
really.
really go, I'm going to enjoy it. And the mother of the bride, they're the ones that are usually so, I want
Wound
this to
up,
happen,
yeah.
this to happen. Just let it go and just have a great time, and don't worry about the time frame, because it's all going to work out just fine.
Yeah, I always tell my couples my job is to assemble the absolute best team that we can get, including the band, the absolute best team we can get, and then get out of the way and let them do their jobs.
Yep.
Because you've hired the experts in their field, in every field, and you just get out of the way and let them go.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
It's a
right.
blast.
It really is. And so those are a couple of things that I would do. I would look at their set list. I would see how interactive they are with you, particularly. or if they just don't want to do anything but talk to you on an email, then you might have a problem. If they don't want to have a phone conversation, they don't want to sit down at the Starbucks and have a coffee with you and talk about you and learn a little more about you. That's the things that to me make up a great band. It's all the playing stuff is great, but if they have a great song list and they want to really be involved in your event, they really care about it, then you got something going.
That's awesome.
And Sharon, one of the things that stands out, and we've talked about this with actual using wedding professionals, is that experience, because being able to read how the crowd is, being able to shift or change. And I think that's so important with a band because that's who's leading your night, so to speak, live.
Yep.
It's not pushing buttons. And that's nothing at all towards DJs because they're terrific as well. But the experience is what I just heard Max completely talk about and what you bring to the table.
Right. And with us, having those 6 guys together who have been together for as long as we have, there's a bond there that you cannot get from putting a band together with a singer and these 4 or 5 people that you have different people in the band, and that's a lot. There's a lot of those out there.
Right. I've worked with some of those. Yeah.
With us, you're getting a vibe with the band that creates the vibe of your events, and we have done so many of them. We're able to look at the room and go, "This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do." And that's why we were lucky to have glowing reviews because that's what people say. It's the best wedding I've ever been to. This is the most fun I've ever had.
I think whether it be a band or a DJ, everybody thinks the wedding planner is going to run the day. And I'm going to create a timeline and we're going to try to stick to it. And we're going to, but the person on that mic, most of your guests are never going to meet me. They're never going to talk to me. The person on the mic, be it a DJ, be it a band, that's who your guests that's who they're going to remember. Yeah. That's who they're going to see.
Yep.
So having someone that's professional, smooth on that mic, and can keep that evening going is like so important.
Yep, it really is.
Yeah.
Because also, as Max mentioned, diverse crowd. Most of the time, weddings, big age differences at the guest.
Yep.
Well, I don't see how, with today's generation, with the younger people getting married, and then you've got older people, you've got a big diversity there to entertain so many different age groups.
Yep.
And I think that's amazing for you all. So I'm sure you all practice constantly on new upcoming things.
We do. Yeah, we do. We practice twice a week until we get into really crazy season where we're playing 3 times a week or so. Then we'll pull it back to once. But it's focused on a handful of things because we also offer to play the first if we don't know your first dance song, we will learn it. And then we have this huge list of songs. So if say we already know your song for first dance, but you want your mother-son song or the father-daughter song to be a specific thing that we don't know, we will learn that song. So we spend a lot of our time learning those songs as we go through the year because I already know what we have to learn in June. I already know what we have to learn in July already because
Wow.
I try to keep that up as far as I can with the brides because I want to know everything. I want to know what's going through their mind. And sometimes they'll call me the week before and go, "Oh, we want to change the song," and I'm like, "Well,
Sorry.
we can't learn that quick. It's it seems like it might be easy to do that, but what you really want is the best of us, and we want to give you the best of us."
I think it's like everything else in weddings. I always say you don't know what you don't know. So I think people don't understand all the behind the scenes and the work that a band puts in to be able to get up there and keep that reception going for 2 or 3 hours straight. So, I can't wait to have you back on and focus on that.
Yeah, we can.
We could talk about this all day long. A couple things I want to mention is, yes, we're going to put your bio that you sent us in the show notes. But for those who may not read those show notes.
He would not toot his own horn.
I know
tried
he's
to
not
get
going
him
to.
I'm not don't do that.
I know, but the other thing too is a lot of times experienced musicians have played at multiple places, have experience, so to speak, outside the wedding scene.
Yep.
And that way when things do happen at an event, because it's everyone involved in it, it's human, you all can handle whatever's kind of thrown your all's way.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Well, it's like our sound person is incredibly important because If we play a building, a space, say like the Gillespie in Louisville, that's a really ambient space. It's gorgeous and it's a really neat place, but it's real ambient. And so the band, us, the musicians, have to be trained to be able to play at a quieter level, and the sound person has to do the same thing. So you have to be on the same page. A lot of times bands are not like that. They don't really care. It's
Yeah.
like, we're going to do what we do, and that's what it is, and you're going to have to enjoy it. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And that, to me, that team that you have together, those people you have working, the way you do the announcements, the way the bride and groom come in the room, how you make them feel special, those things are so important when you're hiring somebody.
I mean, you just hit on a lot of Sharon's list, right?
He's checking
I
my
can tell.
boxes.
Okay, one of your favorite places that you've played.
You don't have to stay local.
One of my favorite places that I played. Well, we played on Royal Caribbean. We played a cruise on Royal Caribbean. A travel agent talked us into doing something and bringing our fans with us on a cruise and playing.
A crasher cruise.
Yes, it was a crasher cruise. And I think that was probably one of the most unique things that I've done. I mean, you had talked about on my bio about playing at the Grand Ole Opry. I've played with a lot of people that I toured with, like I played with Gary Lewis and the Playboys, and I got to play some amazing places with him, outdoor amphitheaters. And then my brother and I, when we were younger, we played places like the Starwood Amphitheater in Nashville, opened up for Cheap Trick. And so I've got so many memories. I again have been so blessed, and I've been prepared. I think that's the biggest thing, is I've been prepared so that when an opportunity came, I had people in my family and the people around me that would enable me to go do something. And that's been the blessing. But I had to be prepared. I had to be able to be willing to go do it and have all my skills together, practice, know what I'm doing, be able to have a conversation with somebody, and all of that. It's just business. It's business. No matter what, I'm a drummer, but I'm a business person.
Absolutely.
And I have to. That's how I create more business for myself.
My daddy would have called it people skills.
That's right. I got that from my daddy
Yeah.
and my dad and my dad and How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are that
That's
book.
a good one.
That
Yeah.
book, that old book, is a really great book.
Should be required
You really should.
for every high school student.
I just downloaded it again to listen to it because I haven't listened to it in a long time.
What a great segue into how did you prepare for getting involved with Cake Take?
Well, again, I am so fortunate to have. I had a great grandmother that baked. I had a grandmother that baked. My mother baked. So I grew up just eating baked goods, a lot of baked goods, and I like every kind of baked good. So, the one of the benefits about playing in a band that plays a lot of weddings is there's wedding cake at all of them, and we've got great production people that work with us. We have a team of people that set up all our stuff, and one of those guys is the guy who goes and gets my cake. And I'm taking Tupperware now because I'm bringing it home to do these YouTube things. Because before
So you
I
just
would
give him your Tupperware before the show
I
starts?
just sit it there next to my drum set. I have a little table.
So he knows what to do.
Oh, here we go.
Here's,
Now we're getting good.
Here's
Okay.
how it started. It started as, okay, I want a slice of the cake. Can you go get me a slice of the cake? Yeah, we'll get the slice of cake. Well, then the cake, I said, well, I needed something to put it on, because I want to eat it while we're playing. Okay, so
You're serious about your baked goods.
So some segue where we're not playing a song, I will reach and take a bite of the cake.
When you don't have to sing. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
don't
know
have to
you
sing,
sing
yeah.
sometimes.
I don't have to sing. I don't have to play. I'll take a little bite, and I'll be back there chewing as we're playing. And so that's kind of how it got started. And then over the COVID situation, I was kind of sitting around thinking, what can I do? How can I help create more community with something that I really like to do? And I'm like, well, The band is already doing some of that as it is, being part of that. And I thought, I wonder if there's anybody doing any cake reviews. Like, who's doing a cake review? Is anybody doing that?
Nobody I know.
I started searching, no cake reviews. I was like, well, what can I call it? Cake take. My take on cake. Cake take. Sounds like a great idea. So
I'm still stuck in what you're just saying. So do you require 2 pieces of cake now? One that you eat while you're playing, and then one that you take home so you can video? I need specifics.
it started out that way.
Oh.
But the issue is, once I started opening the floodgates, some people started to seek me out to make a cake for me because they want me to do a review on their cake. So it's become like right now I have some brownies from Indianapolis cupcakes in my refrigerator from Indianapolis that I have to shoot one. 2 days ago I shot 2 cake takes.
Did they ship you
the
these
weekend.
brownies?
No, I was in Indianapolis, so I went to a couple bakeries and I got them when I was up there. And I'm going back Friday. We have a wedding on Friday, and so it's become a lot. And so I don't typically eat them unless it's something that I look at and I'm like, I gotta have a bite.
I want
right
it
now.
now.
Because the problem with it is I gotta as a marketer, I'm shooting pictures of it to put on my Instagram, and I don't want it to look like that I've taken a big bite out of it every time.
That's why I ask if you
Yeah.
required 2 pieces.
It just depends. Of late, they've been making smaller cakes, and and there's a couple of things about cake deals that I realize that cakes are expensive. They can be very expensive, and when you have a couple hundred people at your wedding, you can't really make a tower wedding cake that's going to handle everybody. So you're going to make some sheet cakes. So my goal is always to get a piece of the cake itself. But sometimes I end up getting the sheet cake, or I'll get one of each. I'll get a sheet cake and I'll get a slice. The slice will go for the cake take, and the other one I'll eat on the way home in the car.
I love that.
Mike and Sharon, I don't know about you all, but I'd love to have the goal set, to where I get an actual piece of cake. And that sounds like an exciting goal.
But it
is.
sounds like it's not just wedding cake either, right? So
It's-
you're going around
I am.
to do. Okay.
I am. Yeah. I'm in search of all the new bakeries and everywhere. Like Cincinnati. I'm going tomorrow to Cincinnati for business, and I've already scoped out a couple places that in Indianapolis or in Cincinnati that I'm going to hit tomorrow. That there's a place up there called the Bonbonnery that I did one on, and they make some of the most amazing things, and their shop is so beautiful and incredible. I will go by there tomorrow. I shouldn't, but I will. And then they turn me on to other people around town that I can go and check out. So there's two other bakeries I'm going to hit up there because they're north. I just shot the south side of Indianapolis, and Friday I'm going to shoot the north side of Indianapolis. So there's some bakeries there and there. Louisville, I've really hit just everywhere. But I do an Instagram post every Tuesday called Tasty Tuesdays. And it's a video of me, it's a minute or less, of me trying somebody's something. Yesterday I shot one with my son.
You better get some clarification on this. I mean, I'm just curious. Do you allow people to ship them to you? Because, our podcast does reach nationwide. So I'm trying to protect your best interest.
No, send it. I love it. And
we'll work out the details, and
Yes.
we'll include information somewhere in the show
Please.
notes so you don't have to spell it out
No,
here.
I really love it. I love tasting different cakes. I love the stories behind some of these bakers and how they got into it and what's going on. I love all of that. But the part about the cake take that's kind of taken a little bit of a shift is that I realized that the community is much bigger than just cakes. And before I was just focused on that because that's what it's like all my eyes are just looking at the cake going, oh my gosh, it's a cake. But now I realize that it takes all these folks to put a wedding together, and everybody's important. Every single person is important in that, and so I'm doing my best to speak about the planners, to speak to the caterers, the venues, because people are looking for venues. They don't know where to. They're like, I've never heard of that place. What is that place? What is that place? We're lucky to play a lot of the the homesteads and the places that people know about, but we're also starting to play some places that no one's heard of. We just played a place in Indianapolis that I'd never heard of before, and it was a really cool place. So I wanted to try to help build this community because the Crashers are not going to go anywhere. We got a 15-year plan.
Awesome.
We got a 15-year plan, and so we're, well, it's a little longer than that because Mark and I said we're going to be 75 before we're going to think about stopping. And so it's important to me that people understand that there's not just this person and that person out there. There's a whole lot of folks. So don't give up on trying to find the perfect cake. Don't give up on trying to find the perfect planner. Don't give up on trying to find the best florist that's going to take care of you and be there for you. There's so many. There's so many that help create this thing. Caterers, like I get to eat food from all of these events, and so I can tell you who the best caterers are. I can. If you want to email me at max@thecrashers.com, I'll let you know what I think about that.
Well, I know we've been kidding around a lot and making light of it, but what I love about this story the most, and I'm a big girl, I do like cake, but what I love about this story the most is that during COVID, when everyone's worried about their business failing, and I mean, you're in a band, you're an entertainer, and without events, I'm sure you guys took a hit.
Mm-hmm.
But you still were thinking about other people in the community, and you wanted to find a way to help and to get the word out there about other wedding professionals. And I think that speaks highly of who you are. And I, just as a wedding professional, I want to say thank you for that. I'm sure Mike does.
Sure. So basically, too, you brought all this up when COVID started.
Yep.
Is that when you started?
That's when I started
wanted to
doing
clarify.
this thing. Yeah, I started doing this thing then.
God gave you a little free time
I've got
to
30.
get your mind
See, I got
going.
I think I'm 30 episodes of my cake take, right?
Well, and one of the other things that we really haven't shared out, people can go to YouTube to see these.
Yes, they're all on YouTube under Cake Take, and my Instagram is @CakeTakeMax. But you can go to Cake Take and watch those videos, and some of them, YouTube's a weird thing. Like I'll put one up that I think it's really cool, and 50 people will view it, and then I'll put another one up that I'm like, that's okay. And
Your dogs are barking in that one?
Yeah, 1,000 people are
Right.
are loving it. So I'm trying to, I want to get my dogs in there on the video with me, but I think people might poo-poo me if I give them some cake. You know what I mean? They'll be like,
Better make sure it's not chocolate.
Yeah, no. They're like,
Be careful.
But chocolate's my favorite.
Our podcast, The Ring, the Bling, and All the Things, is also a COVID baby.
Oh, wow.
We had
Yes.
some time.
It is.
Mike and I were both kind of, no weddings were happening, and Kristina was the brains behind it for sure. And we were blessed, if you can find a blessing in that time,
Yep.
to have a little more time than we would normally have to put into this and to get it going. So I think good can come from anything, and I think that you've taken a bad situation and made some good out of it.
Well, I think that I the same thing for you guys. I mean, this thing is creating such connections with people. You know what I mean? And the toughest thing that we ever have to deal with is someone being aware of you. Someone being aware of you. That's the toughest hurdle for us to get over. Because if someone's aware of you and they tell somebody else, then they're aware of you. They tell somebody else. And the problem with it is we could be doing the most wonderful things, but if someone doesn't know that you're doing them, no one will ever come and see you. It's the same thing with the cakes.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. I have not watched any of your YouTubes. Tonight I will be watching all of them.
Yes.
Are they all positive, or is there any negatives?
Well,
in
when
there?
I first started this thing, I'm pretty honest about things. When I first started, I was doing a 1 to 10 sort of situation.
That's when I got addicted to it.
yeah,
Was when you were
1 to
doing that.
10, and so
You would send me the link and say, you have to watch this.
I would say, Kristina, we've got to have him on. Watch this.
Yes.
it's funny to see that because I had a couple people not happy with some of the reviews that I got on those, and I've never really had a bad piece of cake. I've never really had a really bad piece, unless if I'm going to some family function and then, Aunt so-and-so brought a piece of cake and it
Aunt
was...
Betty.
Let's not.
Yeah,
let's
it's-
say Betty. Let's
We
not
call her-
mention. If you have any Aunt Betty's,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not has to
We
do
call
with
her
yours.
Aunt Betty. Yeah.
Yeah, so if Aunt Betty made a bad cake, I'm not going to tell anybody it's a bad cake, but,
You're not going to get a second piece.
That's right. I'm not
Betty's
gonna
cake
get-
makes taste wonderful, but it just doesn't stand up.
That's a good one.
That's great.
See, we do let him speak sometimes. He holds it into a good time.
It's all good.
Yeah, but so I've kind of, gone away from that because I opened it up more to be the planner, and I want
Yeah.
again. We don't seem to work with bad wedding planners or venue people that are, because right now everybody is on their game.
Have to be.
Everybody's on their game. Everybody wants to be the best they can possibly be, and it's amazing watching these vendors be the greatest they possibly can be. It's really fantastic. And in fact, I can tell a difference from some planners that I worked with a couple years ago to what they're doing now. And they've all stepped up. They've stepped up their communication, all that kind of thing. And
Well, I think with you, we had a break, and we got to regroup. We were going bam, 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 bam every weekend, and then it came to a dead halt.
yep.
So we kind of got to regroup and think about what we actually do for a living, and turn ourselves around.
That's right. That's
And
exactly
I
right.
think too, I think cream kind of rises to the top. And I think people that maybe wedding wasn't a good fit for them.
Right.
I think maybe they've decided that and they've moved on to something else. So I think the wedding professionals that made it through COVID
Are here to stay.
were here to stay.
Yeah.
And I know at least for me, sometimes when you just do something every day, and I'm sure it's the same way with playing music, it's easy to take it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, when I couldn't do a wedding for several months, I was like, I miss my people. I miss my clients. I miss the party. I miss the DJs. I miss the bands. I miss the cake, the food. I just realized I love what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of got a new appreciation.
Yeah, we're the same way. I mean, we're
Yeah.
exactly the same way. We did some rehearsing. We played some small weddings through COVID, but very few. I mean, it was a dark time. It was a dark time we went kind of dark
Yeah.
from everything. And now, it's just recreated this love of playing music again. It's like you really want someone to have a great time in regards to playing music. You want somebody else to have a great time. You want them to feel that through you. And I think we've become better at that than we were before.
I'll tell you some of the things that it really made me think about was it is about reconnecting and just taking we were forced to kind of pause and really take a look at what we were spending our time on, but also how blessed to be part, like you mentioned earlier, of other people's lives. And, I had wanted to do a podcast for a long time. Many people had asked me about doing them and this, that, and the other. And it wasn't something that I had a lot of experience in. I knew enough. But it was something that if I was going to do it, I wanted to invest the correct way because it was not only my name, but, I invited the two of them, to be part of it. And we had talked about this, we had started him hauling around, for lack of a better word. Poor basement Betty, back last fall. And it was honestly for me like a breath of fresh air because day in and day out, as being in the marketing realm with a lot of wedding professionals, like Sharon and Mike fielded a lot of very upset, not sure if their business was going to survive, not bringing any money in, but they've got to do something to keep their name out there constantly day in and day out. And I would there'd never be a time that I would not answer a phone call or talk to somebody by email or anything like that because that's just what you've done.
Yeah.
We're going to make it through this together. And I think like Sharon mentioned, doing this podcast, we all love weddings.
Mm-hmm.
We all realize, and even did before, it's more than just a wedding.
Yep.
It's the start of two people's lives together.
Exactly.
And I think the thing that's kind of been eye-opening for us is we have people that are married, have been for years, that listen to the podcast. And we're talking about wedding planning, basically. But we have expanded from engagement into married life. And gosh, we all had our own therapy session not very long
We
ago.
did.
We had a marriage therapist on.
Ah,
Yes.
that's great.
But just like you've said, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And although you start off with one little thing, it sprouts into you don't know what.
That's right.
And I think for what you've said, it's always times when people just need something a little different that you were able to help people kind of laugh, chuckle. It's not because you were given a bad review, but you were entertaining in your own way.
Yep.
And, from cakes to Sharon, we've talked about this many a times. People are doing different kinds of dessert bars.
Yep.
And all kinds of things like that. We have a mutual friend. Chocolate fountains. You can't go wrong with those either. Have you reviewed chocolate fountains yet?
I have not.
You got to add that
Check
to your.
that out.
You have got to add that to your portfolio.
I should do that.
I know somebody that will deliver the Tupperwares to you, but if you're going to check out the chocolate, you've got to check out the caramel.
Yeah.
Sharon's husband can tell you all about the caramel.
Every time we do a wedding show with the Louisville chocolate fountain, my husband comes to help me break down. That's why he says he's coming.
Yeah.
But he comes in the door with Tupperware.
And stops at her booth first.
So that Ann can fill it up with caramel for him to take.
Fill it up. He come, when I saw him last, I was like, Sharon's not joking. He is bringing his own Tupperware.
You all leave Ron alone.
I didn't mention any names. I just said Sharon's husband. But shout out to Ann. We can shout out to whoever you want, but she makes homemade caramel.
My favorite.
She makes her own
I love
chocolate too.
Yeah, caramel's amazing.
We can hook you up. We know people. We can hook you up with that.
Well, I need to wait till I have a little bit of a break. Because
You work out every day, right?
How do you balance this out with all this cake and dessert?
Well, and the funny thing is on this last one, I think I talk about, I'm on a cut right now because I'm trying to cut some calories and cut some
you
fat.
don't eat it all until you do the test.
I eat, but I'm following a specific diet. And so I know when I'm going to do one of those, I pull out my fats and my carbs because I realize that's all this is fats and carbs. And so I just pull that out when I do it,
With that being said, though, is there a favorite that just blows everybody else away? That you just
that you won't
can't-
get in trouble for saying?
Yeah,
that
no,
you
no,
can't
no,
get
no.
enough of?
He said the one place was really good that was in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Bon Bonnery's amazing. They make an Opry chocolate cake that's amazing. They make a great cake. In Indianapolis, there's two places. They're both in Carmel. The Cake Bake Shop with Gwendolyn Rogers owns that. And then last weekend, I had Classic Cakes in Carmel. Amazing. They've been in business since 95, and she made this cupcake that was pineapple, and it was like you were having a daiquiri, or I don't know, it was just so amazing.
Sharon,
I couldn't
check
believe
your
it.
calendar.
Yes.
We need to go.
And so
I'm actually going to Indy on June 9th.
Okay.
yeah,
Make sure you get that information.
Classic Cakes is amazing. In
It's
Louisville,
like you're eating a drink.
oh, it was the
that's
most
right?
amazing thing. Yeah, it was the most amazing.
I'm going to take some continuing education, and my class is in Carmel.
Ah, there you go.
Mike, you heard that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because we're
We're going to have a road trip.
Yeah, you need to do a
well,
show.
she can
up
bring
there.
him back. Right. We need him.
Well, what's your absolute favorite flavor of wedding cake?
Ooh, good question.
Because when I go with my clients, we'll do tasting, and when you get the sheet cakes, like you were talking about, you get more flavors.
Yeah,
So sometimes we'll pick 5 or 6 flavors.
of that. Yeah, Italian cream cake is one of my favorites. Anything chocolate is good for me. Like anything chocolate. German chocolate cake is my favorite cake. German chocolate, is it?
That's mine.
Yeah, I just had a cookie from a place called Crumble. That's out
I've
on
had
Milltown.
crumble cookies.
They make a German chocolate cake or cookie that is.
To die for.
Okay, if you want to see what he's doing, you can
It's-
check us out on YouTube.
It's an experience.
It's
He doesn't have the words right now.
yeah, it's I could say some things, but it's really good. I was really surprised. It surprised me how good it was.
So if your daughter, you have a daughter, right?
Yep.
We're getting married, and you went with her to the cake tasting.
Yes.
What would you be looking for? I mean, would she even get a word in? I don't know.
Well, I certainly would want to know what flavor she. One of my daughters is a big cheesecake fan, and so I did a cheesecake one with her, and so she would, I'm sure, choose some sort of cheesecake. But if I was going to do cheesecake has to have some density to it. You know what I mean? There has to be this dense thing about a cheesecake. And I like more chocolatey sort of cheesecakes or peanut butter cheesecakes. Those are really good. But I would let them pick the flavor. But there's a density and a moistness between those two things. Something has to be dense. It has to be like I'm eating something. Like
Got the light, fluffy.
Yeah, when I slide that piece on there, it's got to have some density to it. It has to be dense, and at the same time, it has to be moist. And those are two things that are tough to get.
Because it's usually one or the other.
Yeah,
I
sometimes-
agree.
If we didn't know better, we would think he's a baker.
No, I'm not. I don't know anything about that. The funny thing is, when I was in high school, you guys had to take home economics, and we had to make a cake in there. And I came home, and I made the cake at the house, and I used baking soda instead of
Baking powder.
yes. And it came out like salty cake. And so the funny thing about this, and I'm going to do a cake take of this because I'm going to make this cake again, because I had a lady reach out to me on Facebook and said, hey, I found this in a bunch of stuff I bought, and it looks like that it might be you. It had Max Maxwell on there. And it was the recipe that I got from school that I had handwritten out at school to take home. It was on a yellow piece of paper. And she had found that, and it had the date on it and everything. And she sent that to me. So I have that piece of paper with that cake recipe on it.
From when you were
From
in
when
high
I was in high
school.
school.
That's so cool.
Craziness.
What a sweet lady to do
Yeah,
that.
the sweetest. It was like in Scottsburg, which my grandmother lived in Scottsburg. So,
That's where my family's from.
oh, really? Yeah, my grandmother lived in Scottsburg, and she was made pies and cakes, and I mean her strawberry pie was too good. And so my great grandmother made a mayonnaise cake that it was actually called a mayonnaise cake, had mayonnaise in it. Chocolate cake. My mother still makes that mayonnaise cake, and it's amazing. So, but I'm gonna make that cake that I made in high school on a show with my kids soon. Once I get a little bit of a lull between these weddings, I'm gonna shoot a video with those guys tasting my cake and reviewing my cake.
Oh, you're going to open yourself up.
I am. I trust them.
Save us a piece of that.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I
we
will.
need the right balance between density and moist.
Yep.
And then what about icing?
Buttercream.
I mean,
Buttercream. Well, it also depends on the cake because cream cheese cake. Cream cheese on specific cakes is perfect. It's wonderful. But I'm a buttercream. I mean, and if you use real butter like Mertz or all these, there's tons of them.
Yeah. Great bakeries.
Plains
in this
makes them
town,
like
yeah.
that. Sweet Shop, all these places make it. But if you put real butter, real cream in that, woo, it's the
So you don't mean like the store-bought buttercream.
No,
You
no.
mean like make the buttercream.
make
He goes,
the
"No."
buttercream.
I just learned something.
Store-bought.
I did a tasting at Heitzman's Bakery, and I learned something from Marguerite, the owner there. I had a bride that liked cream cheese icing, and she wanted her whole cake iced in cream cheese icing. And I learned from Marguerite that you can't do that because cream cheese icing is too soft.
Yep,
And it won't hold up on the cake.
that's right.
And I never knew that before.
Well, I was just in Indianapolis, and I was at a new bakery that I've never been, and I just went in to grab a couple things, and I ended up meeting Larry, one of the owners, who's the guy who makes cakes there. He told me that he likes goat cheese to make his cream cheese out of because he said it doesn't have that bite. There's not a bite. It's much smoother and sweeter. And he said, next time you're in town, you need to let me know, and I'm going to come up. I'm going to make something for you. You can come hang out in the bakery. And so
And you were in heaven.
I'm in heaven. I haven't done it yet. And as well, Classic Cakes did the same thing. They told me the next time I'm in town, please come by and see them, and that makes me feel so good because
I'm gonna go
love
there
these.
when I
You
go
should.
next week. Yeah.
You should. They've been doing, like I said, they've been making cakes up there since '95. But my favorite cake in Louisville, I
That's what I asked
have
you.
to say my favorite cake in Louisville is Mertz. That's my favorite cake.
What flavor?
It doesn't matter. Everything that I've ever had. I have one wedding planner that uses her exclusively, and I have a couple of her. I've already done 2 reviews on her cakes, and I'm got a couple more coming this year, and I'm very excited about it because her buttercream, her cake is amazing.
Virginia is amazing
yeah.
lady.
Yeah, she's
Amazing.
the sweetest.
Yes.
You've
nicest-
said
She
something
is.
about having her on here before.
Yes,
haven't
she's
you?
very,
Yeah.
very
You,
sweet.
you should. I've been over there. She let me go in and hang out, and she's just amazing. Really great.
That's so cool.
Me and Mike are over here brainstorming.
Okay, what do you need?
Prepare yourself.
Yep.
I think that we would like to challenge you to a bake-off with the 3 of us
Have you lost your mind?
live.
A live.
A live bake-off.
Okay.
My husband has stopped dead in his tracks because I don't cook. But
That's better
I
for
think,
us.
I think we want to challenge you to a bake-off
Okay.
with the 3 of us.
All right. Are we? Are
And
we?
you.
Is it gonna
I'll
be?
get all the details worked
We're
out.
coming to your
Okay.
place.
Yeah. We. I think they actually have these places that we can go.
I've got something up my
Chef's face.
sleeve.
You already
I
know
a
something?
little-
You got
I know
somebody.
something, right? I'm over here like jotting notes to Mike. And,
Well, I need
Okay.
some preparation time because I'll need to speak with some of my friends about what I should do or shouldn't
oh,
do.
so okay.
We
I've
might
got a
have a
little bit
friend
insight.
we want to bring.
Right. I'm thinking, So
But I tell you,
we'll work out the details. So you're in to do
yeah,
that.
Yes,
Live. Now, not
Yeah.
recorded. We're,
Right.
we're going to do it
no
live.
I'll do it
Okay.
live. Yeah,
All right.
we can do a multi-camera shoot and everything.
Okay.
So I want to say something about Heitzman's.
Okay.
I did a pecan pie. If you're looking for a pecan pie, if you're looking for a pumpkin pie, I tasted a whole bunch of pumpkin pies, including the ones that most people buy and think that it really is good from Kroger. And I mean, I shop at Kroger every week, but their pie is nothing like a pumpkin pie. If you go to Heitzman's, they make the best pumpkin pie.
You're talking about Marguerite's on Shelbyville Road.
Marguerite's.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had
Heitzman.
her pumpkin pie, and it was the best out of all of them. Yeah, everybody in my family thought it was the best.
Well, you talk about loving the story behind the bakeries.
Mm-hmm.
Heitzman's 130 years in business, and Marguerite is the 4th generation of her
Wow.
family to run that bakery.
And her son, I believe, is
coming,
getting
yeah.
ready to join them. And I think
Yeah.
that is incredible. The stories. And I love she has the photographs. You know,
I love
and-
that, especially since I remodeled and stuff. It's great.
Yep.
Yes.
I
and
just had a meeting with her this morning. Yeah.
when you go in, her cases, it always stands out to me. You know, the meringue
Oh yeah.
is super high on the different pies. You've gotten
So
some. Anyway,
you like pie too?
Oh yeah.
I mean, right.
brownies
Did you
and
miss
cookies?
that he, right. Have you ever had chocolate eclair?
Chocolate eclair pie?
Well, chocolate,
Eclair period? Yes, many times.
like the dessert chocolate
Oh,
eclair.
I'm surprised you're not
yes.
about 400 pounds.
I mean,
You
Mike,
would
he
think
works out
so.
like 4 times a day.
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna start working out with you. Where do you go?
I go to Bridgeview CrossFit. That's where I go. Yes, eclairs are amazing.
Nothing like plugging your
Eclairs are amazing. Yeah, I plug everything.
or your exercise place when we're talking about cake.
So, yes, eclairs are great. I love them. I love cannolis. But pies, the other side of, to me, pies are a whole other thing. You know, it's like, because they're so different and there's so many different flavors. That, you know, with cakes, a lot of times you'll see the same things. Like I said, Italian cream cake, and you'll see, you know, this cake and that cake. But with pies, there's just a billion different things. From rhubarb, which a lot of people have never tasted rhubarb pie before. You know, I love them all. I have a cherry tree in my backyard. We make cherry. It's the whatever the cherries are that are really sour that you make pies with. So
Now, look, you can't have trees growing in your backyard that you're going to bring to our bake-off.
So I got a question though. You were talking about cannolis.
Yes.
What about Carlos Bakery in New York? Have you had anything from them?
I've never had that.
I'll tell you what, I ordered something from them for my son's birthday, and they shipped it. I can't remember exactly what company we used, but it came from their bakery. It was the best I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, so you need to look
But it was a
into
cannoli.
that.
Was it a cannoli?
No, it wasn't cannoli. It was actually
They're known for their cannoli.
we got actually a sample pack that had 12 different cupcakes in it. And they shipped them to us in a frozen box, where, a
Yeah.
ice box.
I'm
And I mean, they were
excited.
great.
I'm
Ooh,
very-
we may
check
have to
that
do that
out.
for the next time you come back.
I like that. We need to order something.
A sample pack where you can try. Oh my goodness. You know what though, Sharon? I mentioned it earlier. At weddings, I'm seeing like people can't make a decision on desserts. So they're doing like the little pies
Yep.
and then cupcakes and cookies, like a whole assortment.
Donuts.
Yeah. I
So
just
when they have that, do you get a sample
of
of
each. Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Okay.
we just did Keeneland last weekend, and they had a huge dessert bar, and I got four different. But what it seems like the thing right now is multi flavors of cake.
Yeah,
Like multi levels with multi flavors.
with different fillings
Yeah.
and
I've had up to 5 different slices of cake from one wedding. 5 different
Goodness.
slices.
Now, are you one of those people that when you get your piece of cake, you just eat like a bite? Because I have a lot of skinny friends, and they'll be like, "I want some cake," but then they eat a bite of their cake.
See, now you've let people in
But
on
do
my
you like
In on the
secrets.
secret?
cake?
Well, here's what happens. If the cake is really great, then I'll eat maybe 2 or 3 or maybe the whole thing. Most of the time, I'm taking a bite. If I take a second bite, you know that I really like. If I'm on the
Uh-huh.
cake taking, I take a second bite, you know that I like the cake.
Now we're getting
Really
the
like the
inside
cake.
scoop.
Yeah.
But typically I take one bite. I try to take one bite of it, because a lot of the times if I'm like doing two in a weekend, I got to shoot those right after, and so it's a lot of cake.
I
Can
just
be a lot of
remember
cake.
I follow your Instagram because I've been a Crashers fan for forever. And I remember seeing it, and I was like, "What is he doing?
Yeah.
Like, what? He's lost his mind."
Well,
But
I can't
there's-
wait to join in.
There is something about them that you just keep. I keep watching them. They're so good.
I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
really glad. I love doing them.
Uh-huh.
I like really love doing them. And my wife does. She thinks I'm crazy. She thinks
Well,
I'm
it's
nuts.
taken
I'm
off,
set.
so-
Yeah, I'm setting up. I got a place. My wife and I remodeled our studio at the house. We have a recording studio there
Okay.
for the band practices, and so I've got a space there to shoot these videos now. And I invested the money in the stuff to do it, and
That's awesome.
it's fun. And again, I just want to connect people. I just think that's what life is about, is connecting people with other people and making them aware of somebody else's business. Because I'm hoping I'm hoping that because I'm making them aware of that they're going to make them aware of who I am or what I'm doing.
Sure.
It's just, I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind
Yeah,
of situation,
take
like
care
it
of
used to be
each
in the old
other.
days. Yeah, that's what it's about. It really is. And then we can all work together and
And we can make some epic weddings.
yes, epic weddings.
So, are we going to?
Oh,
He brought in. So,
well-
if you're listening to us, you won't be able to see this, but you can go to the YouTube channel. So, Max didn't come empty-handed. He's brought in. Some treats.
Here's the thing. We saw each other at a couple of different
Wedding
wedding
show.
shows, because I covered some wedding shows this year. And I said, hey, I want to bring some things for us to try. And then when I'm on my way here today, I'm like, I remember I told them I would bring something to try. So they're very close to one of my favorite bakeries around here, Williams Bakery. And those
Grew up
folks
going
over
there.
there. Yeah, the donuts are fire over there.
Well, I will tell you, when I went to high school, we could leave the property at lunch, and I went to school in walking distance to Williams Bakery.
Ah.
And quite a few of us would go because they also, I don't know if they still do, but they used to serve lunch, chicken salad,
Hmm. Yeah.
things like
Sandwiches.
that. But somehow we always didn't get that. We went straight for the donuts.
Oh yeah, the donuts are great there. They make some donut. I'm a big fan of the cinnamon bun donut with chocolate on top. That's my.
That's my husband's favorite.
It is and I
yes.
tell you, Williams makes a really good one, but Jeff's Bakery makes the best one. And if they don't have them, all you gotta do is say, can you take that cinnamon bun in the back and put some chocolate on there?
And they will.
Oh, they'll slather it on there, and it's warm. And
I love Jeff's
When I do a
bakery.
wedding with Mike and it's going to require a little bit extra of him, a lot of setup.
Most every one of yours.
All of them.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to be nice. Remember that.
I usually enter the door with Coffee Crossing and Jeff's Bakery
Yeah.
donuts and say, "Hi, Mike. I love you. Let's have a great wedding."
I'll remember that when my daughters get married.
Okay, let's
There you
hop
go.
back to Williams though for a minute.
Yep.
In recent times, I have discovered one of their, I guess, most popular ones is called a yummy roll or something like
yummy
that.
roll, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about
Yeah,
already.
yeah, I had one the other day. No, not the other day. A little bit of what I think I shot an Instagram post.
First
on
of all,
one.
you think they gave you 3 donuts instead of 1 in your bag.
Yes, that's exactly right.
But it's got cinnamon in the middle. Okay, you already know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay, so
It's kind of like Plains makes one called a yum yum, and if you get a chance to get a yum yum, you got to get there early to get them. But you get a yum yum there, oh my gosh, it'll change your life.
List.
You'll leave
donut
there.
that'll change.
You'll leave there a new
My life.
person. I promise.
Mike, are you okay over there?
I'm fine.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm going to explain what I brought in.
Okay, let's explain it. You explain it.
This is something new that I've not had from Williams Bakery. There's 3 different things. I brought a lemon cake because everybody likes lemon cake. It's fresh and delicious, and yeah. But it seems I think it's got some weight. Yeah, it's got a little bit of weight to it. It's good. But the other 2 pieces that I brought, one of them is a white cake, like a wedding cake, white cake with buttercream, and then it's dipped in chocolate. The other one is a chocolate cake with chocolate, buttercream, and it's dipped in dark chocolate. That's what I brought for us to try.
Notice you could hear a pin drop when you were describing those.
yes.
Okay.
And so these are they're pretty. I'll shoot some pictures and put them on my Instagram so you can check them out at Cake Take Max. And but they're Williams is one of those places that they make everything every day. I love seeing bakeries when I can walk in. The Bonbonnerie is one of these where you can walk in and watch people making this stuff. And I was in Indianapolis at a Mexican bakery that makes incredible strawberry cakes up there. But they had a space where it was like they were in a fishbowl, and I could watch them make the cakes, and I was mesmerized.
That's one of the things I love about Heitzman's. You'll go in there to grab lunch or something, and you can see through the window.
They're
they're
making-
doing wedding cakes.
Yeah, and it's an art. Some of those folks are just artists to making this stuff. So,
Absolutely.
And it tastes good too.
So we're going to record a second clip when we get done with this. So if you want to check it out about us tasting these delicious treats that Max has brought, then make sure you go to our YouTube channel or you can go to our website to get access to it. Max, thank you. I mean, I never knew so much about cakes, and you're not even a baker.
I'm not. I'm not. I don't want to be one.
Can you be called like a cake extraordinaire? I mean,
I don't know.
Aficionado.
I didn't really tell you what my goal is this year. My goal this year is I would like to be one of the cake judges at the state fair. That's what I would like to be.
That could probably
That
happen.
is so funny you said that
I would-
because I got the number that I can hook you up with that.
Really?
They called me today to be a judge for the flower arrangements, so I'll hook you
Please,
up.
I
will
would
hook you up.
love to do that. I'm not kidding you.
can you turn
It's-
around towards that camera just so they can see how excited you are?
It's my goal. It's like this year's, that's my goal. Next year, I really would like to have a television show, and I would like to go to different cities, and I would like to taste baked goods and cakes. That's what I'd like to do.
I would
because
watch that.
Nobody's
I would
doing.
too.
No
I
one's
would
doing
too.
that. I'm hoping somebody won't take this, but living vicariously through my sweet tooth is what it's about, man.
That's amazing.
That's what it's about.
Well, but you
Good
also
luck with
bring
that.
the
That's awesome.
entertainment and all of that too.
Yeah, yeah.
You can go and try cakes and stuff like that, but you're a true entertainer, and that's the difference right
Well,
there.
thank you.
Nobody can be you.
my
you're
dad,
authentic.
my dad and mom taught me that. That's what.
I was going to say, your daddy was a
He's an entertainer.
Born entertainer.
24/7.
There's no off switch.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's just the family at Thanksgiving. He's fired up and going for it. Yeah. So he's taught my brother and I a lot about that kind of stuff.
Well, that's where you've gotten your drive for tasting cake.
Between that and my mother's baking, that's what I got right there.
That's
Your
thank
mom's
you
a
so
sweet
much
lady.
Oh, you're
for
welcome.
coming in to not only share your story, but about like what inspired you to do this, what your goal is. Hopefully,
It's been
Mike.
fun. It's been really fun.
Oh, I'm so excited. about
Everything
this.
happens for a reason.
It
Max
does
is just
look
like, can you just wrap this up? I need that number. Let's just hop right to it. So, okay, thanks, Max, for
You're
being a
welcome.
guest.
Thank you so much,
No,
Max.
thank you
Yes.
guys.
So, thank you for tuning in to listen to this episode of The Ring, the Bling, and all the things. If you would like to give us feedback or share with us, we will pass it along to Max, what your favorite cake is out there, no matter where it's located. You can go to our website and send us that information. We make it easy to do. Just hit the contact button. Connect with us on social media and make sure you look up Max to connect with him. All the details will be in the show notes. Until next time, take care.
This episode of The Ring, the Bling, and all the things was brought to you by The Wedding Experts, whose mission is to connect engaged couples easily and efficiently to local wedding experts. Visit theweddingexperts.love to connect with your local wedding vendors, as well as access valuable resources to help you plan all the details for your big day. If you are a wedding professional, there are affordable and effective advertising opportunities available to you by visiting theweddingexperts.love/advertise.